Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the Routledge History of Literature in English part 4. Today we are traveling back to the roots of English literature, exploring how the poetic world evolved from William Langland to the Scottish Chaucerians. So stay tuned till the end because this period gave us some of the most powerful foundations of English poetry and thought. So let's begin. Let's begin with George Puttenham, the author of The Art of English Poesy, published in 1589, the first critical treatise on English literature. Puttenham discussed the achievements of early English poets, including William Langland, whose great work Piers Plowman marked a turning point in medieval literature. The origin of English satire, inspired by the biting Latin style of Juvenal, is credited to Joseph Hall, somewhere around 1574 to 1656, in his Virgidimarium Sex Libris, meaning Six Books of Rods, published in 1598, stacked his claim to be the first English satirist. Now we are talking about William Langland and Piers Plowman. Piers Plowman is an alternative poem recounting a series of dreams that explore truth, faith, and society. Its dreamer, Longwill, acts as the guiding voice, linking one vision to the next, each filled with spiritual and moral insight. This poem mirrors the growing unrest of 14th century England, and it's no coincidence that in 1381, Wat Tyler led the Peasants' Revolt, echoing the same social tensions Langland wrote about. Next comes John Gower, author of Confessio Amantis, or A Lover's Confession. It's a moral and narrative poem based on the seven deadly sins of love, taking inspiration from Ovid's tales. Through this, Gower explored the relationship between morality, reason, and desire. British Chaucerians, Lydgate and Hoccleve. After Chaucer, two poets continued his great tradition, John Lydgate and Thomas Hoccleve, known as the British Chaucerians. Lydgate wrote The Fall of Princes somewhere around 1431 to 1438 and Troy Book somewhere around 1412 to 1420. He was a devoted admirer of Chaucer, even calling him the first great English poet. Hoccleve, in his Regiment of Princes, somewhere around 1411 to 1412, offered wise counsel on leadership and virtue, blending poetry with political instruction. Then comes the Scottish Chaucerians. During his imprisonment in England, King James I of Scotland composed the King's Square, or the King's Book, deeply influenced by Chaucer. He introduced the rhyme royal stanza, which was later named after him. Even before James, John Barber wrote The Bruce, a heroic chronicle celebrating Robert the Bruce and Scottish independence, written in octosyllabic couplets. Now comes Henryson, Dunbar, and Douglas. By the end of 15th century, Scottish poetry reached new artistic heights. Robert Henryson's Testament of Cresside gives a tragic sequel to Chaucer's Troilus and Cresside, where Cresside's unfaithfulness leads to leprosy, beggary, and death. He also penned the moral fables of Aesop, the Phrygian, fusing classical wisdom with Christian morals. William Dunbar's Lament for the Makers stands as one of the most moving elegies in English, mourning the deaths of poets like Chaucer, Gower, and Henryson, and meditating on the transience of life and art. Finally, Gawain Douglas made history by translating Virgil's Aeneid into Scots, creating Anados, the first complete translation of the Aeneid in any Northern European language. Douglas proudly distinguished between Scottish and English, choosing to write only in Scots. His works, including The Palace of Honor and King Heart, were published around the 1550s, and his influence even reached modernist poets like Ezra Pound. From Langland's visionary dreams to Chaucer's disciples, and from moral allegories to Scottish nationalism. This era shaped the very soul of English poetry. It was a time of transformation when language, nation, and imagination came together to form the foundation of English literary tradition. If you enjoyed this journey through medieval and early Renaissance English literature, do share it with people who are preparing for UGC NET English or even GATE exam, or even just want to be the part of English literature. For more deep dives into the world of words and imagination with literature, stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching the video. That's all for today's video, and I will be uploading more videos soon and covering other parts of literature, theory, and different things. And one thing more, in this series of Routledge, I am just covering the important points, not covering the summary or different things. I am just covering the points that are there in the books, even in precise important pointers type, which are very much important from the exam perspective, as because these questions might come in the exam. So that's all, and do prepare well, as because the exam forms are out and soon the examination dates will be out. So stay focused. Thank you and signing out.